What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor, Fightful.com, FightfulMMA.com. Go over there, get all your MMA news. We have some great live coverage over there and an even better live coverage community, so to speak. Hundreds, if not thousands, of comments every single time. So if you're looking for somewhere to talk about the fights, some like-minded, fun people, FightfulMMA.com is the place to go. But, Joe, we got some time to fill on today's show. Fortunately, Conor McGregor did an interview. Otherwise, this podcast would be about 20 minutes long. Bellator 225 happened last weekend, UFC China this weekend. We're going to give you a preview, picks, some betting odds. But let's jump right into it, Joe. Conor McGregor did an interview. Conor McGregor spoke to Ariel Helwani. He was, as you mentioned, I think on the last show, gaining some bad will with his own countrymen. And I think this, obviously, it was a major PR move. Speaking out here, what are your takeaways before we break down this interview?
I can't begin to get into Conor McGregor's mind. I don't know. I don't know if anyone will agree with me. If you're a hardcore Conor McGregor fan, you're going to disagree. If you're a hater, you'll probably will agree. If you're somewhere in the line, you'll understand, or somewhere in the middle, you'll understand what I'm trying to say here. I don't know how authentic and how honest and full of integrity Conor McGregor actually was. Is he actually realizing that, dude, you like, I as a human being have to stop what I'm doing here? Like, there's a difference between being remorseful and then being remorseful because you got caught on camera, right? I don't know what to say to wit, but I liked some of the stuff he was saying. You know, I will never stop being a Conor McGregor fan. I love what he does for the sport. I think he's a fantastic mixed martial artist. Obviously, the headlines he raises and the clicks that we get for the site, as an example, it's beneficial to Fightful. But overall, I think he is required in the sport. I think he's needed in the sport. I think he's done so much for the sport, more than a lot of people will ever give him credit for. But in the interview, I don't know. I think you're right. It was part PR move, part I got to start putting out some fires here.
And he did need to. He focused more on his fight career. He said that he didn't need to let people get at him. I don't think that's it. I don't think he needs to worry about people baiting him, Joe. I think maybe he needs to not be an asshole. I think that's probably
in
the
no
best.
uncertain terms, right? So, yeah.
I think that's maybe the best course of action is don't be an asshole. You're punching people at bars for what? For what? Walk away. How did he bait you? How did this guy bait you? Even with that, there was a guy who took a picture of him and he smashed his cell phone. Okay, so leave. You're in a different situation. You're a public figure, and not just a public figure, one of the public figures, one of the most famous athletes in the world. You don't got to throw a dolly through a window. That's not something you have to do. Like, sure, it drummed up some interest for that fight, so, hey, what am I saying? But the cell phone, the punching somebody in a pub, then you got the whole other accusations of sexual assault, which we won't get into because that's not been proven. We don't know enough about that to comment on that. But, man, Conor just needs to not be an asshole. I mean, I thought there were some good moves made by the whiskey business or whatever the hell he's got going on.
Yeah.
Seems like it's doing well. Seems like it's good. Even his website, the Mac Life, why wouldn't you do that when you have unprecedented access to the UFC? Why wouldn't you try to monetize your access furthermore? I thought that was a smart move. Some of these other moves are not smart moves, Joe. And for a guy who, I saw a headline. God, I wish I remembered who wrote it. That way I could give them credit. It said that Conor McGregor used to fight for and represent the common man. Now he looks down on them. I have to find that headline to give the person credit, but I couldn't agree with that anymore, Joe. That seems to be his MO, and that's a shame because I think a lot of his celebrity came because he was kind of a common man. He was a common man who found fame and adjusted to it. Maybe that's just me. What do you think of all this and so many of these incidents?
I think going back and thinking about when Conor McGregor first got to the UFC and the road to get to the UFC, the common man theory was right there. The whole Get this guy in the UFC. He represents Ireland. He represents us. He's such a good fighter. He's a 2 division champ. He's doing fantastic. He's knocking people out. He's charismatic. He's this or that. And then slowly but surely, here we go. He gets to the UFC. He takes out Marcus Brimage. I remember that fight vividly. And then you start seeing his personality and his understanding. I wouldn't even say the UFC caught lightning in a bottle with him. They got themselves a star that was, without even them having to groom him or build him, he just got it. He had the natural gift to gab. He had the natural gift for one-liners that still make people absolutely pee their pants if you actually go back and watch some of them. It's absolutely hilarious. He's, like I said, charismatic. He's mesmerizing. He's got the it factor. And then I think it just got to his head. That he realized I'm not saying this is what's going through his head. It appears as if it's like, I can do whatever I want. I pulled off the Mayweather fight. I pulled off the money fight. I pulled off things that are never going to happen again in combat sports. There'll never be a 2 division champ, hypothetically speaking. There'll never be another money fight. I did all of this. And then it might have just got to his head. And I can do and say and whatever I want, from a guy that was the common man who was on social assistance / welfare to having more money than anyone can ever possibly imagine, perhaps, vacationing on these massive yachts and enjoying life, the fruits of his labor, to returning back to society and doing crazy things, flying across the ocean to defend Lobov and putting a dolly through a bus to get over and get to whomever was doing all that stuff. It was Habib and his crew, whatever was going through his mind. To the whole punching a 50-year-old man in the face, being baited. I can't be baited, man. I think you nailed it on the head, Sean, when you basically said you got to be smarter. I am not 1/100th of the popularity of Conor McGregor, but I walk around Canada, especially in my parts, with eyes, with the same thing I teach my soccer kids, my players on my team. Head on a swivel, man. You got to be looking around all the time. And if you find yourself in a scenario, you got to be careful. These things are available all the time. These things will take pictures and video, and before you know it, your career comes to an end. Now, with Conor, who knows? But maybe it's all truthful. Maybe that interview with Ariel was truthful, and we'll see what's up.
So there's a lot more to break down out of this Conor McGregor interview. He says that he was hurt, had broken his foot a few weeks before the Habib Nurmagomedov fight. Says that he has it documented. In the past, when Conor McGregor has said something is documented, usually it has been. Like the Paulie thing. Do you believe him?
Yeah.
I think I do too.
I only because I do think he's a true man to his word. When it comes to those types of scenarios. And, he said it. Go watch his interviews, his pre-fight interviews, and how he mocks people. He'll never back out of a fight. He won't back out of a fight no matter what. So I'll give him credit for that. I believe him. And the reason why I do, guys, girls, I've been around the sport for 20 years. I know fighters, high-level fighters, that have lost fights because they've gone into the fight and should not have competed. They fooled the doctors, and they went in there and competed because they signed on the dotted line. And that's just how it is sometimes. And, at that point there, if it's true, then, you got to give Conor McGregor credit for having, balls of steel to know he's going in there with a busted up body and still trying to fight the best in the world. So I'm going to give him credit.
8 of Conor McGregor's fights have been canceled. Only 1 was from him, and that was in 2012 against Jim Allers, who also withdrew from a fight. And, that one never ended up happening, despite both of them making it to the UFC. Conor McGregor also said that he was set to fight Justin Gaethje earlier this year, but sustained a broken hand. That would have been a great fight. That was a fight that was speculated. I don't know if it's a fight that we necessarily needed, considering McGregor's level, but I think here's the thing. Great fight. It is a pay-per-view main event fight, as is any fight that Conor McGregor is in, Joe. You don't got to put a title fight above that. You put Conor McGregor in there, 5 rounds, that headlines a show. You put Nate Diaz versus Masvidal in there, main event. UFC, I think, needs to embrace this on the pay-per-view scale and sometimes make these pay-per-view shows main evented by the top fight. by the most attractive fight. There's nothing wrong with that. WWE does it all the time. Their championship match isn't always the main event. Sometimes it's just the most interesting match. I think this is a fight that Conor McGregor could have won, too, considering his power and his accuracy. That being said, Joe, his power and his accuracy, I don't exactly have a great sample size of that anymore because I've only seen him fight once since the end of 2016 in an MMA fight, and he didn't exactly land a lot of punches against Khabib Nurmagomedov. So considering the fact that I've seen him land, I don't know, maybe a couple flush punches in the last 3 years, it's a little bit harder for me to decipher that. What do you think about what he said about Gaethje and his injury?
Yeah, well, I believe it. The thing with Conor's accuracy, it's probably still there, but that's right now in the gym, right? To do it live, to do it against a guy like Justin Gaethje or a guy, someone that's elite in the division now is a different story because he hasn't competed in so long. He hasn't competed. He's not. I know Dominic Cruz, and I think it was the last show or the show before that, basically said that ring rust isn't real. It's real, man. I don't care what anyone says. I've had other guys tell me the same thing. That ring rust is fake. Just show up there in shape. I think it's real. I honestly think it's real. And but then you got these super athletes, these special athletes that can overcome it. I mean, to go back on your main event point, I mean, look at the two words, main event. It doesn't say title fight, main event. What is the main attraction? Conor McGregor will always be the main attraction. I don't care what title fight you put on, whatever division champion that you think you have, he's the main event. If George St. Pierre and Conor McGregor are on the same card, Conor McGregor gets the main event, George gets the co-main event, right? That's just the reality of where the business is right now. So Conor McGregor, no matter what, gets headliner status, should not be a co-main event to any title fight in the UFC. Let's be honest for a second, right? But in terms of his accuracy and competing against a guy like Justin Gaethje, the points that you make, Sean, are so valid that you've got me thinking now maybe Conor's accuracy would be a bit of a problem in this situation because Justin Gaethje will just walk him down. But the old Conor McGregor, the guy that we saw against Eddie Alvarez, he would piece apart he would piece apart Justin Gaethje in a heartbeat. But Justin Gaethje doesn't go away, right? So it's tough to say. The bottom line is here, we just want to see Conor McGregor fight and fight consistently. I know he's made a lot of money. It sucks when these guys make a lot of money if you're a fan because you only get to see them once or twice a year if you're lucky.
How many of these revelations and retirements can we have, though, where he comes back and he says, I want to fight. Fighting's in my blood. Fighting is what I do. I love to fight. I'll fight until I can't anymore. And then he doesn't. And then he doesn't fight. I mean, my God, he's had a boxing match and Khabib since the end of 2016. And 3 years will pass with him having 2 fights, 1 MMA fight. I respect him for making all that money, but I don't need to hear him reassure us that he loves fighting. He doesn't have to love fighting. There will be a lot of people who think that he's only relevant because of fighting, and for those people, okay, whatever. If the guy doesn't want to get punched in the face, I'm okay with that. However, he did say that he wanted fights with possibly Gaethje, with Tony Ferguson. He named off some people.
Frankie
Edgar. What is the most attractive fight to you? Because to me, Frankie Edgar isn't it. Maybe Gaethje. Maybe. Ferguson's the one that stands out to me. But honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing McGregor get a win before he fought somebody like Tony Ferguson. What do you think?
So you're asking me to not be biased?
Yes.
Okay. Damn it. Because Frankie Edgar's a fight that I want right away. No ifs, ands, or buts. All day, every day. Give Frankie his payday.
But I mean, he had just decided, I'm going to go to 135. Yeah. Now he's going to be like,
but
maybe.
Frankie will take that fight not because he's not afraid. It's a nice little payday, kids.
Yeah, of course.
So he'll take that. The other thing, the fight that I would like to see, it is a toss-up between Gaethje as well as Ferguson, right? Because, that's a bad blood fight between Ferguson and Conor McGregor. I mean, did they not have the same management to the point where Tony sort of got dropped and he's no longer managed by the same team as Conor with Audi Atara and all them? So that would be a very interesting scenario to see that one unfold because you just know Tony's not going to back down from the trash talk. His trash talk's nowhere near Conor McGregor's.
Mentioned Aldo too, by the way.
Yeah, I know that. I saw the Aldo thing there, and I think Aldo would jump on that, obviously, because he wants that rematch. But those are 4 really good fights. I know people may not want to see Frankie because of the 135-pound thing, and I'm only thinking of Frankie's paycheck or bank account. And, of course, it'd be fantastic if he could actually win that fight. But, yeah, the Aldo fight I don't think is going to happen unless Aldo moves up to 155. Yeah, Conor's not going to cut to 145 at this point. I mean, do you think he's going to cut to 145?
No, hell no.
Yeah,
hell no.
He's got to move up to 155 as Jose Aldo. So at that point there, that's a fantastic fight that I'd absolutely love to see. Gaethje's the other one. I know Cerrone was once talked about, but Gaethje and Cerrone are they're in the scrapbooks right now, or they're scrapping at the moment. So other than that, and let's not forget Dustin Poirier. He's still there. Dustin Poirier's got a title fight. If he wins that fight, don't be alarmed if he's like, "Thank you, Khabib. Hey, Conor, where you at?" Payday.
Yeah. There are a lot of winnable fights there for Conor McGregor, too. Yep. Like, a lot of them. A lot of them. So we've got a bunch of articles on Conor McGregor up on FightfulMMA.com. But speaking of other articles, James Vick facing Nico Price. We have that one up. Are you surprised? James Vick has lost, I think, 3 or 4 in a row, but he seemed like a guy that had some promise at one point. Are you surprised he's getting this fight?
No, not at all. No, I think it's a fair fight for him. It's a good fight for Nico, and I think it's going to be bombs away, and a lot of pressures on Vic. Got to win this fight, son.
Justin Gaethje said that Donald Cerrone once knocked him out in sparring. Does this surprise you, given the ingredients?
What is no for 500, Alex?
Kelvin Gastelum will face Darren Till in Till's 185-pound debut. This is a big task for Darren Till, but also a move in the right direction, I think. How do you feel about this?
I don't like this fight. I don't think he should be fighting Gastelum at all. You want to enter the 185-pound division. Brad Tavares is there. Christoph Jocko's there, right? Like, I mean, he's got a bit of Ian Heinisch is there, right? I mean, you're going up there and you're facing the number 4 guy. Whew, that's a pretty big step up from going from 170 to 185. And I'm not trying to laugh at Dana White when he basically said, I think we pushed Darren Till too quickly. We'll go back and watch the Fightful podcast back in the day where we were like, this guy's doing, and then when he beat Cowboy, we were all kind of like, well, I don't know if that's really that good of a win, to be honest with you, because Cowboy at the time was on a bit of a downslope, and one punch from a much bigger fighter that's going to land on Cowboy is going to put him to sleep pretty much. So I think Kelvin Gastelum is a big step up, not just in weight, but potentially in competition for Darren Till at 185. I would much rather have seen him compete against someone in top 15 or maybe, like I said, Jotko. I wouldn't want to see him against Shoeface. Maybe Uriah Hall would be a good fight. Brad Tavares would have been a good fight, but it is what it is.
Frank Mir versus Roy Nelson 2 headlines Bellator 231. I have no interest in this. Do you have any?
Yeah, vintage.
Not a bit.
It is what it is.
Matt Brown faces Ben Saunders at UFC 245. This was a surprising booking, but an okay booking, I think. I mean, why not? Put this on the prelims. Sure, it's harmless. Whatever. What do you think?
Yeah, harmless is correct. I mean, these are 2 guys. Didn't Matt Brown retire?
Yeah, kinda.
So he's got maybe a fight left on his contract or 2, and so does Ben. And this is not a relevant fight for the division at all, but it's a fun fight. Why not want to see this? Matt Brown will go in there to try and knock off Ben Saunders' head, and Ben Saunders will try and clinch and either knee or get a submission. So I like this fight. It'll be a fun fight. It's a fight that has no relevance in the division, but one hell of a fun fight to enjoy.
Some Dana White statements. He doesn't think Jose Aldo should drop to bantamweight. I am completely in agreement with this. I think that's a bad idea for Aldo.
Why in the blue moon does he want to drop to 135?
It's ridiculous.
Is he chasing Frankie Edgar? Is he chasing Cejudo? Go to 155, man. You're not getting younger. Go to 155. Plenty of fights there for you.
Dana White says that Amanda Nunes will defend the featherweight title after UFC 245. Doesn't name a contender or anything like that. To me, you kind of see how things flesh out before then, and then you decide that. But, I mean, At least it'll shut people up. It'll say, what about the 145? There's a real division there.
That's
Oh,
exactly what it is. Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Also, Dana White says Henry Cejudo should defend or vacate the flyweight title. I agree. Dana White on a roll this week with some of his statements, because I'm agreeing with a lot of it. I get so annoyed. Somebody said, oh, he's injured. Let him talk and drum up drama. I'm like, you know what I don't want to hear? Him say that he wants to fight Valentina Shevchenko, Dominic Cruz, Uriah Faber, Cody Garbrandt, all these people. That doesn't make me want to see him fight more. It just makes me want to not see him fight more. It makes me want to... Will I watch those fights? Yeah, it's my job, but Joseph Benavidez should be getting a title shot. Even Aljamain Sterling said Joseph Benavidez deserves his title shot. I'd be upset, but he deserves it. I agree with Dana White here. What do you think?
I think the more Henry Cejudo speaks, the more people get annoyed with him, aka Sean Ross Sapp, and the more SRS wants to see him get his butt whooped. Right?
Because but I don't is the thing. I don't. Because I've already seen it. Is anybody ever going to whip his ass worse than Mighty Mouse Johnson did the first time? No. Mighty Mouse Johnson was like, hey, I see that you got that Olympic gold medal. Here's a clinch. Do whatever you can. Okay, you took me down. I'm going to launch you off with my feet 3 feet into the air, and then I'm going to knee you until I get bored of it. The beatdown is never going to be worse than that. And the thing is, I don't dislike Henry Cejudo as a person. I think he's a fantastic athlete. I just think this is dumb. Calling out people who don't deserve title shots is dumb. Because the thing is, I don't think he's afraid of Benavidez. I don't think he's afraid of Sterling. He has fought one of the greatest fighters of all time in Mighty Mouse Johnson multiple times. So I know he's not scared of these people. It's just boring of him to do this. And I see what he's trying to do, but okay, Joe, there's a guy in pro wrestling, and I don't want to name his name because wrestling fans will watch and they'll get annoyed, but everybody keeps saying best heel in the business, best heel in the business. But the thing is, people really just hate him. They don't want to watch him, is the thing. And that's not a good heel, not wanting to watch somebody. Back in my day, they used to call that X-Pac heat, which is completely, where it's just like, go away. Change the channel heat is more of what it is. I fear that Henry Cejudo will get changed the channel heat. And I don't want that for him because, quite frankly, athletically, he doesn't deserve that type of heat. He's very good. But for me, he's starting to get changed the channel heat. And I don't like that.
I think that assessment is absolutely fantastic. Tyron Woodley went through change the channel heat.
He did.
Right? They're booing him after victories as he was walking from the octagon backstage. And, if there's one time I'm going to agree with Dana White, it was when he said, when you're the champion and you're getting booed out the building after a win, that's a problem. It's a big problem. And Cejudo, I don't think he realizes how he comes off. I think he thinks that, what I'm saying, what I'm doing is I'm the man. People love me. Not necessarily, man, but I'll say this. I do side with him on a couple of different things, or one or two actually. But if you think about what Henry Cejudo's doing, okay, let's go back and name the contestants, competitors, guys that he wants to fight, guys that he should be competing against. Who's a tougher fight for Henry Cejudo? Uriah Faber or Joseph Benavidez?
I would wager to say the guy who beat him.
Okay. Where's the money fight? Uriah Faber or Joseph Benavidez?
How much money is that fight really going to bring in?
I think a lot more than you may realize, because Faber does move the needle. He does move the needle. I don't think Benavidez moves the needle. Faber's internationally known.
I just don't know of any fights, like even in Uriah Faber's prime, where, I mean, sure, he had some title fights and stuff, but I don't remember any of his fights being like major pay-per-view successes. Ever.
I think Cejudo in general is calling out guys that'll make him more money on a pay-per-view, potentially, than the guys who deserve the title shot.
I mean, Faber was doing like 230,000 pay-per-view buys
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
at the top of the show. So I'm like, eh. And these days, I don't even know what their pay-per-view cuts are because of the nature of the deal. Ah.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true.
Well, we had Bellator 225 this past week. Not the greatest card on paper, but boy, did it deliver. It had some bangers, some real good finishes. And honestly, we called it, Joe. Sergey Haratonov just plowed through Matt Mitrione. Just plowed through him. Haratonov is still very good, and dare I say, maybe next in line, Joe. But Vitaly Minikov may have something to say about that. Javi Ayala was out. An even better opponent in Timothy Johnson got put in.
And yeah,
And what happened? He got beaten under 2 minutes. I'm digging the Bellator heavyweight division right now. I'm on board with it. We need main events like Frank Mir and Roy Nelson. That's for damn sure. But Haratonov and Vitaly Minikov. Oh, by the way, Tyrell Fortune is still there. He got a finish win as well. That was awesome. He's looked very good in the past. So you've got a grizzled veteran in Sergey Haratonov. You have a former champion in Vitaly Minikov. And then you have a 7-0 guy who has fought in Bellator for 3 years now. All of his wins came there. And he's got like 5 finishes. You got a lot of options at heavyweight right now. By the way, Tyrell Fortune, 29 years old. He's got a long way to go in this MMA game, Joe. I can't say enough positive things about this heavyweight division and how Bellator 225 flushed out for them. Everybody that needed to win got a win.
Yeah, and of course, Ryan Bader's the heavyweight champ, so he's probably looking in and thinking to himself, which one of these boys could be on the radar after Chet Congo?
By the way, youtube.com/Fightful MMA Boxing, we will have an interview with Chet Congo up very soon, thanks to Harry Kettle.
All right. Did he get leg kicked?
I hope not.
Yeah, because I almost got one from Chet Congo. Yeah, it's a beast. A nice guy though, but he's in trouble with Bader. Sorry. This division.
I'm interested in that fight. I'm interested in that fight and the whole division.
Now, yeah, because when you get a show like this where the main card, 3 of the 5 fights are heavyweights, and you get these types of wins. What happened with Ayala? Something that he was medical, that undisclosed medical reason he was released, or the fight didn't go down.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Anyways, yeah, I mean, 3 of the 5 fights, heavyweight, main card, to pull that off, and those guys end up winning. It's pretty good for the division. Again, the heavyweight division is always weird. It's almost like every 3 to 6 months, whether it's in the UFC or in Bellator, one's going up, one's going down, we don't know what's happening there, but there's a lot of movement in the heavyweight division between both promotions. So pretty impressed. We'll see what's going to happen, but the whole situation with Karnatov and Mitrione is just a weird one, weird in general. But, Sergey, like I said, grizzled vet, gets the victory, and we'll see where he goes from here.
Yaroslav Amosov picked up another finish win. He is looking really good. You got John Fitch, who could probably lay claim to getting a title shot after he went to a draw with Rory McDonald. You have Andrei Koreshkov, who's won 3 of 4. You've got Michael Page, who's coming off of his first loss. You've got Paul Daly, who's inconsistent. And then you got Lorenz Larkin, who has started to right the track. Amosov needs one of those guys, in my opinion. He needs Larkin, Daly, Page, Koreshkov, or Fitch. One of those. And then I think he's ready for a title fight. I said last week that I thought a win here could get him one. You've seen crazier things happen in Bellator, but I do think that he should try to leap one of these guys. I mean, hey, Amosov's 25. Page, a lot of people be like, oh, well, don't you want to rehab Page? Page is 32. I don't know how much more is he going to learn in the MMA game. That's a Bellator main event right there. Amosov and Michael Page, Amosov and Daly, Amosov and Koreshkov. You can headline a show with that stuff, especially if you're doing it with some of the people they are. What do you think of Amosov and his prospects in the future?
Well, I like the Daly fight. I like the Page fight. I like the Lorenz Larkin fight. It's just a matter, if you're Bellator and you're going to put that fight on, which is the win-win fight? Where it doesn't matter who wins, it's good for the division.
Yeah.
I think that's the Page fight.
When I say that everybody that needed to get a win on this show for Bellator got a win, I mean everybody. From the main card, Alejandro Lara defeated Taylor Turner really quick. Austin Vanderford, who is married or getting married to Paige Van Zant, won at the end of the second round. Nick Newell won via triangle choke in round 1. Remember when you snickered when I said Seba Hamasi and then he knocked the guy out in 17 seconds? That happened. Ricky Bandejas won in the first round. Conor Gracie won in the first round.
A Gracie won by submission?
Whoa! In the first round. This was, as far as results go, a home run for Bellator, Joe.
When are we going to see Gracie's knocking out people?
One of my favorite spots in MMA history is when Roger Gracie did the Ric Flair flop when he got punched and he ran across the cage and fell down.
Ric Flair is my favorite wrestler of all time.
That was just nothing short of amazing. I really, really liked that.
You know what I forgot to check? It's my own fault. It has nothing to do with MMA here. But Harley Race recently passed away.
Yes.
Was there any comment from Ric Flair at all?
Oh gosh, yeah. Ric Flair and Harley Race were, synonymous in some degrees with the NWA and.
Oh yeah, arguably the greatest cage match of all time in my opinion.
Yeah, he's done some interviews and stuff, and I think he was on Talk Is Jericho, Chris Jericho's podcast recently, and spoke about Harley Race. Man, that was. That's a big one. Harley Race was one of those guys who was in his 40s in WWF and was still more innovative than a lot of the younger guys and all that. But yeah, Ric Flair has spoken at length about that. And of course, God, you can't mention one without the other in the NWA. They were integral to one another. And man, it's funny because I spoke to a lot of people about Harley Race shortly before his passing because kind of got the feeling you hear that things are going to happen, and just the amount of knowledge he bestowed onto the game was crucial to say the least. He coached a lot of people over the last 20 years, but
old school, man, school. Yeah, all right.
UFC China this Saturday, no post show. I will be in Chicago. And there's a whole lot of people that nobody has heard of on this show. Dana.
First of all, what are you doing in Chicago?
I'm going to a wrestling show, getting interviews, and I'm playing in a basketball tournament.
Oh, look at you. Gangster.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the show that no one's talking about. Go.
Dana Batgarel, a -120. Hailey Alatang, a +100. Carol Rosa, a -115. A pick'em with Laura Procopio, a -115 to a -105. You have Anthony Hernandez, not to be confused with Alex Hernandez, a -190. Jun-Young Park, a +165. Damir Ismagulov, a -185. Thiago Moises, who feels like he fought like a week ago, a +160. Moivsar Evloev, a -700. Xinghong Liu, a +500. Mizuki Inoue, a -145. Wu Yanan, a +120. Da Un Jung, a +120 against Kaldis Ibmaragov.
You bring him off.
Yeah, you know his name. Derek Krantz, a -110. Keenan Song, a -110. That is a pick'em. And then probably the fight where you get your number 3 and 4 fight here. Kai Kara France, -210 against Mark De La Rosa. Legit a fight that matters a little bit because of the depth of the division.
Yep.
Andre Sukumtoth, a -185. Sue Matajeri, a +160. How does the UFC expect anybody to tune into this show?
Why wouldn't they? It's a huge show. It's
God
fantastic.
Damn.
Amazing stuff. High quality, big names. Yeah.
David Tease is going to be up at 6 a.m.
God bless his
3
soul.
a.m. He does it, man. He's a trooper. He's going to be up doing this. And
I like guys that remind me of back in the day. I would get up at any time to watch this stuff here. Now it's
Yeah.
like, who? Where?
And
What?
hey, if that was my spot, I would too. If I were
Of
honestly,
course.
hey, if I were anywhere
Yeah.
but Chicago this weekend, I'd be up doing it too.
Would
It's
you?
the job. Yeah, it's the job. But
Oh man,
my
first thing in the
God,
morning, I would have it PVR'd or saved, and as soon as I wake up with my coffee, then I'll watch it. I'll stay away from the internet and watch it. But man, 3 a.m. Whoo.
I want to see Andre Sukumtoth fight, and I want to see Kai Kara France and Mark De La Rosa. And that's it, Joe. That's all before these two top fights.
Are
This
you
is,
trusting Sukumtoth right now?
huh?
Are you trusting Sukumtoth still? I know he's fought twice since Sean O'Malley, but he's 1-1 since that O'Malley fight. But are you still trusting this guy with his MMA IQ?
Well, here's the thing. Just relatively speaking, in this fight, in this card, I'm like, all right, I'll watch him fight. But will I? Will I care that much? No, not really. But at least he's a name that somebody who has watched the UFC before might know.
Yeah.
Might know. And even looking at that, like, he's not had any big fights. He's had a bunch of fights. He's like Luke Sanders, Sean O'Malley, Montel Jackson, and Jonathan Martinez. Nobody knows those guys. Nobody knows any of them. So, like, he's not like some marquee name, but half these people, I couldn't tell you if they've ever fought before, much less if they fought in the UFC, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's not a problem. Li Jingyang, plus 250. Zaleski Dos Santos, a minus 300. Zaleski Dos Santos is going to win this. Better, more well-rounded, just better everywhere. I think the betting lines are appropriate for this fight. He's, quite frankly, Zaleski Dos Santos is just very good. And he has fought some good people. He's fought Lyman Good, who is pretty good. Curtis Millender, like he's had some decent opponents in the past. And he's favored more in this than I think any of his fights. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should be sleeping on Li Jingliang.
I don't either.
He's got violence in his fists, and he's also won his last. I think his last fight was a kick to the body. Hold on. Yeah, kick to the body. It was a KO against Zawada. So he brings violence. The thing is, though, Dos Santos brings a different type of violence, right? And it's more well-rounded. And this one here is all of a matter of old school. Who can take the beating more than the other one, right? It's going to be one of those types of scenarios that I just think if Elizu gets this fight down to the ground, he's going to choke him out. He'll put him to sleep. But other than that, it shouldn't be that easy. He's going to take some violence here. He's going to take some beatings here. I mean, the guy's on what, a 7-fight win streak right now?
For the love of God, get him a top 15 fight if he wins this. 7 in a row, get him a top 15.
Well, that's what we said after the Millender fight. Right?
Yeah, we were probably saying that after the Luigi fight, where he evaporated his face into dust with a flying knee. Or Sean Strickland even. I was saying that he won with a hook kick. Like, that was the statement win to me. And since then, he's had 2 more, because the Millender fight was a statement win. He rear naked choked him in a couple minutes. Like, he is so far overdue. And I don't know what the holdup is, quite frankly. I don't know. And hey, if Li Jingyang beats Zaleski Dos Santos, he deserves a top 15 fight. That's the thing. Like, because Zaleski is the top 15 guy who's got there without beating any top 15 guys. Because for some reason, they don't book him against him. That's weird to me, man. That his booking is super weird. I know, like, he stuttered against Dalby, but there were a lot of people that had, I mean, the fans, as I look, 58% of the fans had him beating Nicholas Dalby in that split decision. And just under half the media had him winning. That was a close fight. You could argue that Zaleski Dos Santos has won every UFC fight he's had through 8. I am picking him to win this, but it would not surprise me if Li Jingyang could pull off something and win this. But we have a betting line that I think is pretty generous to Wiley Zhang. A plus 160, Jessica Andrade, a minus 185. That's surprising to me, Joe.
Maybe there's a lot of money coming from China.
Maybe.
Right?
I got Jessica winning this.
Yeah,
and
I mean, we're
fairly
talking about
one-sided.
Yeah, this thing opened at minus 200 for her. Now she's at minus 182 ish. What? I thought it was going to go the other way, to be honest with
As low as 175 in some place, or 160 in some places.
you. Yeah,
That line is minus 160 plus 130 at Bovada, and that's shocking to me.
Yeah, you may want to put some money on Andrade right there. All right, carry your business over to Bovada, and because I mean, I personally like Five Dimes as my book of choice mostly. But that's just insane to think. I think this should be in the minus 300 range.
I do too.
Minus 350, 300.
And,
right?
I mean, we've not seen Wiley lose since November 2013, and if she wins, that would be big for the UFC. Let's be real. It'd be big for the UFC. To have a Chinese star, that would be good. The Tisha Torres win was nice, but we're talking about a Tisha Torres who is in the middle of a 4-fight losing streak.
Yeah.
We're talking about a Tisha Torres who never reached the potential that we thought that she would, and quite frankly has been on a big downward spiral. After not losing before the Ultimate Fighter, she's lost, I think, 7 times since the Ultimate Fighter, 7 times since 2014. What does that win mean? What does a decision win mean over Tisha Torres? Well, it means you're in the same boat as like 7 other people. By the way, or 6 other good fighters. So I'm not like scoffing at a win over, as we have lost Joe now. Joe, do I still hear you? Well, look at that. People, there we go. We're back.
I don't know what happened there.
We lost you for a second. I saw your little icon. But I got Andrade winning this. And Zhang is, Joseph Boza says they're respecting that she's on a win streak. But man, there hasn't been anything that I've seen against top-level opponents. Well, one, she's not faced top-level opponents. Tisha's not there anymore. She's just not there anymore. Emi Fujino is not a top opponent. That's the best person she fought outside the UFC. I think Andrade wins this. How do you feel?
Dude, Andrade took out Karolina Kowalkiewicz in the first round. Didn't even go 2 minutes with a knockout. She then wins the title with a slam against Rose Namajunas, who many of us had pay attention to her. She's fantastic. She's the world champ. She destroyed Joanna Jacek twice. This is a bad woman, and she took out Claudia Gadelha. I don't like Zhang's chances here. It's one of those things where I'm sitting there going, oh, these odds are not good for Wiley. I don't know. I think Andrade is going to do whatever she wants to after she figures out the distance and her timing. I give her 2 to 3 minutes, and then things are going to change real quick. I mean, can Zhang win, become the world champ? Of course she can, but I don't see it happening.
Tatiana Suarez was a better opponent.
Yes, but they were in China. Got to do what's right for business. Got to get that live gate going. I get it. I understand it. And I respect it.
Doing what's right for business is leaving a thumbs up on this video. Make sure you guys subscribe. We have an MMA channel as well. Fightful.com/YouTube or YouTube.com/Fightful MMA Boxing. Of course, you can find everything at FightfulMMA.com. Joe, what do you got going on this week?
Same old, same old. I'm trying to. My team manager is actually a meteorologist. It's pouring here, Sean.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if I'm going to be canceling soccer practice tonight because we got a big game on Thursday. Just an update: we are 16-0, undefeated. Average score 7-1. So I want to get this undefeated streak to the end of the season, 21-0 if possible. But I got to get practice out there, Sean. It's pouring in Toronto, just out north of Toronto here. So might be getting wet tonight, son.
Guys, thank you all so much for joining us. I know this was an extremely abbreviated podcast, but ain't much to talk about. But there will be next week. Khabib versus Poirier. We're going to preview that. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe. Until next time, we are out.